Think fast, Chuckle Nuts!
Sega! Tetris.
Puyo Puyo Tetris!
Hello everyone, welcome to yet another Think Fast, featuring something a little more off-topic actually, something that's not really scripted, so to say. Something, well, scripted, wow. This particular Think Fast is done retroactively, so I'm presenting everything I'm giving to you here today as after I've already sat down and played the game and done everything in it. So, Puyo Puyo Tetris. Two huge puzzle games that should not belong together, yet the team at Sega have managed to bring the game together and made it work fantastically together. I know it doesn't sound like it should work because they're two different things. Basically, one is reminiscent of the Tetris Attack kind of games that have been long past, and the other one is tried and true 1981 whatever Tetris. But they managed to make both worlds coincide with each other and actually work together seamlessly. So throughout this, there's going to be clips of the game going on, and I was playing online a lot with my good friend CharlesCBernardo. I'll put a link to his channel in the description, by the way. But a lot of mine Charles' experience with this game is basically he was not very good at Tetris. Me, not very good at Puyo Puyo. So we both went online into it basically saying, hey, we're bad at one half of this, so we're at an equal disadvantage at this point. We started off playing just basically the combination shuffle mode, where you start off playing one mode, both players start off playing the same mode, and then you swap over to the other mode, which is either Puyo Puyo or Tetris, and that's on a timer where it just keeps going. So you have two boards to play on, but never at the same time. But you and your opponent are never asynchronous either. So in the time that we were playing together, I actually managed to pick up a little bit on Puyo Puyo, and I learned the intricacies and what makes Puyo fun, because it's just off the cuff. There's not a lot of planning. You just kind of be like, okay, this goes here, this goes here, and there's the combo. Please combo. Okay, it comboed. Moving on. While Charles was learning the intricacies of Tetris, of basically build up all but one spot and then fill in the hole to make a huge attack. And with this mode, all the attacks that you do from one side to the other, like if you do an attack in the Puyo side, it gets sent over to the Tetris side if you manage to time it out, so basically you do it when the board switches. You will take the attack and shove it over onto your opponent when they're on the Tetris board, or vice versa. So a lot of times what I was doing, because I was a lot better at Tetris but not so good at Puyo, and Charles vice versa, is on Puyo I'd be setting up a combo, and then I would turn around and I would set down a combo in Puyo Puyo mode and get it set up and just let the time run out before the switch, and then when the Puyo block drops, it sets off the combo on the secondary board. So basically I took all the attacks from the Puyo side and pushed to Charles on the Tetris side, and he did it vice versa to me too. So that is something cool to look out for, because you basically can interact or back and forth swap out how you want to attack who and what style. Now there's also just plain Tetris, and there's also plain Puyo Puyo. But what's the fun in that when you have a game that basically combines two big worlds like this? Anyway. So then we moved along to the fusion mode, which we, at the time, we actually opened up our lobby to allow more people in to play. In the Tetris, in that particular mode, you put down Puyo shapes and Tetraminos in conjunction. And unless you read the manual, this is not a very well explained bit, but how this one works is basically everybody's given shapes at random. Nobody gets the same shape constantly. One time you might be getting Puyo Puyo Blobs, and all of a sudden there's a Tetramino. But how you set them down, it does build up like standard Tetris. If it's Tetramino blocks and Puyos together, unless it's Puyos touching Puyos, it's just a static build up constantly to the top like normal Tetris. But what you can do, and what I found strategy in this, is just to take the Tetramino blocks, slam them down through the Puyos, because what it does is the Tetris blocks have priority to the lowest solid level. So you basically take your Tetris blocks, use them to clear a whole bunch of garbage in that mode, and then whatever Puyo blobs you cleared, flip on top of that Tetris piece. So what I did a lot is I cleared a lot of garbage and Puyos, and it basically reshuffled the Puyos in that area a little bit. Flipping them in the area a little bit also allowed me to clear out a lot of bad stuff and set up my own combos off of it. So it was interesting because you were kind of playing both modes. You can make Tetrises on the bottom row, but you're also playing Puyo Puyo on top of all the Tetraminos at the same time. And even though it took a little while for me and Charles to figure out, it was such a cool mode because you were just kind of planning. Like every time a Tetramino came along, you had to stop and plan, break up your whole flow of playing Puyo, and then as soon as you dropped it down, then you had to go back to playing Puyo like normal. So it was just chaotic and hectic, and there were several times where it just got demolished. And then we moved on to the party, not the party mode. The party mode was the last thing we did. We moved on to, what was that mode called? From there, we moved on to the Big Bang mode. And what the Big Bang mode is that you have to take all of these pieces. Basically, you choose whether you want to play Tetris style or Puyo style, and then you drop down the respective pieces to try and make the quickest screen clear combos as quickly as you can. How it worked is Tetris was a little bit easier and it was a little more instantaneous, but on Puyo you have to take a minute to think about where to drop something, where to create this massive 7 or 8 chain combo. And at the end of 45 seconds, I believe, whoever clears the most screens and then some, the game tallies up who cleared the most screens and then some, and the best combos into an attack, and then it launches the attack at the opponent. And then if you and your opponent or opponents are still alive at the end of that, then you go ahead and you go for another 45 seconds. And it just keeps going like this. But in that sense, Tetris is more instantaneous because it's just like boom, 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 boom. You drop in pieces in, out, in and out, just one at a time, clearing 2 to 3 lines at a time consecutively. Whereas Puyo Puyo, like I said, you have to stop and find where the chain is. Because of that, the Puyo is a bigger risk reward, but the Tetris is more instant gratification. At least in my opinion. And finally, we then moved along to the party mode. This mode might appeal actually to some people who had originally played Tetris DS back in that day when it came out, or if you still play Tetris DS, if you were playing that online mode, where there are items you can collect in either puzzle mode, and you stick to one puzzle mode as soon as you select it, by the way. But there's an item you collect that you can use to mess up your opponent, usually. There's a couple defensive ones, but most of them are to mess up your opponent, like you can't rotate blocks, you have odd-shaped pieces. I never saw the Puyo equivalent, but the Tetris equivalent is basically, instead of having Tetraminos or four-sided or 4-piece blocks, you have 5-piece blocks, if that makes sense. And just a whole bunch of stuff like that you can do. So I didn't even go into like adventure mode or anything like that. All my experience from this that I'm giving you right now is actually just from online play with a friend. And we had so much fun. Like I said, Charles was not very familiar with Tetris or how it worked. Me, not very familiar with Puyo. We learned both of our weak suits in this game very quickly, and had a load of fun, and had so many matches that went on for several minutes, almost 10 minutes at times, because we were keeping pace with each other so much towards the end of it. So, when it comes to Puyo Puyo Tetris, would I recommend this game? Absolutely. In America, Puyo Puyo Tetris is available on... I at least know it is on PlayStation 4 and on the Nintendo Switch. I cannot say for certain if it is available on another platform at all. If it is, it will be in the video description. But I'm only going to list United States release platforms in the description. So if you're watching this from Japan or something like that, I do know in Japan that Puyo Puyo Tetris got released on almost every console. But that's my time. I'm making this quick and retrospective think fast instead of like actually live. If the video is still live when I go and post this online, I will put a link to the stream that me and Charles had on his stream channel, where we were playing this together, if you want to watch the whole thing and not just the clips I pulled out. But everybody, thank you so much for looking into this Think Fast featuring Puyo Puyo Tetris. And I hope to see you next time when I'll react to a newer title for the very first time. Take care, everybody.
Back to the drawing board. I'm the Tetris King.